So first things first, this is the scheduled OpenChain AI workgroup meeting for Europe and Asia. This meeting is designed to ensure that people in Europe and Asia can catch up on what's happening. It's complementary to our North America Europe call, which happens earlier in the month. Before this meeting and any other meeting from the Linux Foundation starts, we show our antitrust policy notice. The full antitrust policy can be found on the Linux Foundation website, and you can ask any questions of our counsel, Andy Updegrove. Now, today's agenda is relatively compact, but it is designed to allow people to give feedback. The first point is that we're going to talk about the public comment period for the AI System Bill of Materials Compliance Guide. The second point is assuming the public comment period is a success, we're moving into publication. How do we frame that? How do we message it? Jumping straight in, item one, the public comment period. Now, this is quite an important moment for the work group. In May, the work group finished drafting a compliance guide for AI System Bill of Materials. I'm going to jump back a slide. I'm going to grab that link and throw it into the chat. The guide that this group worked on was developed over the period of almost 1.5 years, and when complete, was sent to the governing board for approval to formally move into a public comment period. In other words, saying that as far as the work group so far was concerned, the guide was finished. And now we would spend a few weeks making sure that we messaged to people outside of the work group, outside of OpenChain, that this guide is likely coming to market. This has been messaged publicly. The 6-week public comment period started on the 7th of July, and we're somewhere in the middle of it right now. So far, we've had no negative feedback, no concerns raised. Assuming no issues do come up, then the draft will be regarded as final, and we'll move into a release phase with a final approval from the governing board. Their next meeting is the end of August, which suggests that the AI compliance guide will likely release in September. Now, the purpose of this meeting and the purpose of the meeting for North America Europe last week follows on from that fact. It's to make sure that we capture ideas from this work group about what happens next. So if we're moving into formal release, a couple of questions, and you don't have to answer these questions, but the fact is we're here so you can raise perspectives and ideas and suggestions. Assuming that the guide is ready for release, how should we message it to the supply chain? For example, on the North America Europe call, there was a lot of discussion around how we should probably message it in collaboration with our sister projects like LFAI and Data. We should probably look at their membership, look at their activities, and go communicate through those channels. That's one idea. The second point is, as we message things to the supply chain, what are our metrics for success? How do we measure that we had an impact? How do we measure that we had the impact we wanted? On the North America Europe call, there were a few notes. One note was that perhaps one of our metrics for success should be larger AI leaders beginning to use the guide. Another potential metric for success was entities in different geographies. So, by way of one example, a metric could be, do large companies in LFAI and data begin to use this? Another metric for success could be, are we seeing companies in the Americas, Europe, and Asia using this? It's an open question. And then the final question was, if the thing we finished in May is done, what's the timescale for beginning to edit the next version of the guide? In the North America Europe call, the discussion was basically maybe we would follow what we've seen in other work groups like telco. In other words, not wait after releasing the existing version of the guide and let it go out there and get feedback and collect the feedback, but rather move directly into working on the next version and proactively do that uh, from August or September. The rationale for raising that was AI is a fast-moving space, and what we finished in May might be perfectly improvable in September. I'm just going to pause there and check. Do you have any ideas, suggestions, or thoughts about this? And just a note, Biju, I see you as unmuted, but I can't hear anything. So
Yeah. So,
oh, there you go.
Shane,
Hi.
yeah. So, I don't know you have seen there is a CERT, that is Computer Emergency Response Team, India, having come out with an AI bill of material. So, if we can promote in tandem with those, uh, direction, that would be helpful from an Indian context. Because as you're aware, unless there is some regulatory, you know, backing to it, nobody takes this seriously.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So can we, for at least for the Indian market, look it from that perspective?
Yes, I think so. I'm just going to put the link into the chat.
Yeah,
So, it's there for our
yeah,
audience. I think, yes, the answer is of course. Yes. So in Europe, we have the EU AI Act.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
In community non-regulatory, we've seen things like the SPDX AI Bill of Materials profile, so a format. It makes a lot of sense now, to make sure that we look at these guidelines and try to support them in future work on the guide. One thing I should highlight probably, and this is exactly just to to match your point. I'm opening up the guide right now. Right. So this existing guide, and I'm putting the link in the chat direct to the guide. This existing guide is talking about influences. For instance, the primary references were ISO standards. It's very reasonable to say, with the EU AI Act and with the technical guidelines from India, we should look at including these in the next version of the guide as we start editing.
yeah.
I have a question, and please forgive my ignorance. I just wanted to check, these guidelines, are they similar to the NIST minimal requirements for SBOM in that they're mandatory, or are they currently like a best practice?
They are just a best practice. They are not mandatory. That's the problem. The only mandatory thing which came from India was the SEBI, that is the Security Exchange Board of India, mandating it for the SEBI regulated and entities. So that is mandatory that if you are non-compliant, there is penalties and fines. But the CERT uh, technical guidelines, so that's why it's worded as technical guidelines.
Yeah,
This is only best practices.
I understand. Uh, no,
But the positive part is once the CERT comes in with these guidelines,
yes,
we saw in the case of SEBI adopting those things for, so other regulators might adopt it.
yes, absolutely.
So this might be the starting point of other regulators, uh,
Oh, yeah.
adopting such things.
Actually, looking at the existence of this document, which even includes quantum,
Yeah. And
um,
there is a hardware bill of material also they talk about.
this document seems very comprehensive. And as guidance, even if it's not a regulatory enforcement yet, this guidance seems very important for us to analyze.
Yes.
So, oh, here we are. Here's the minimal elements of an AI bomb. My goodness, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Yeah.
This is this is why it's so important to have different geographies on calls. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It sounds like this is something that could influence other geographies fairly quickly as well.
Yes.
Did this take a long time to develop, by the way?
There is no detail on those lines, Shane, sadly.
Okay. I was just curious. Steph,
Yeah.
I see you're unmuted. Do you have a comment?
Yes, first, hi from Germany. Has been a while since I was active on the call,
Guten Morgen.
and I just got the message, the email that the call has started, so I joined. And that is actually the first time I've seen something, this document about artificial intelligence bills of material. So I haven't read it, I just saw it now, but it seems very, yeah, full of information we can use for this management guide we're talking about. And yesterday I was talking with a colleague about open source AI and what this is about. And he he told me about the OC Open Source Initiative definition of what is open source AI. So meaning like is the training material, the code that is doing the training, everything in the field of AI, is it open source in the definition of the OSI or the Free Software Foundation? And so that was really interesting to listen to and to see. So my question is there anything like the Linux Foundation or the OpenChain group, working group yeah, is that, are they dealing with open source artificial intelligence, or will that be part of the guide?
It's a really good question. And I'm going to answer it not just directly, but also assuming that there might be an audience watching the recording who's new. So, this document we've looked at from India is complementary to a lot of activity. For instance, Stefan just mentioned the open source initiatives definition of open source AI. And I'm throwing the link in to the chat, but for those just watching the recording, I'll try to make sure the link is on the website too. Uh, this definition is one example of people working around AI and talking about what is open AI, if you're focused on that. And that topic is also addressed in a different way by LFAI and data, where there's a model openness framework, which basically, well, it says it here, but it basically looks at the different parts of AI and says, how many of these parts are open in the AI that you're talking about right now? Maybe some of the software is open, maybe the data sets are open, but maybe the data cards are not, etc., etc. So the model openness framework is a way to look at specifically which bits of this AI, the software, data, um, and documentation, which bits are open. It, for instance, is the software under an open source initiative in approved license? Is the data license open? So OSI has created a definition for open source artificial intelligence. LFAI and Data has created a framework for evaluating what bits are open, how open are they? And I'm throwing another link into the chat. In the very tangible, how do we describe that? SPDX has made an AI bill of materials, which is describing, if I can find any, yeah, there we go, describing what the format of an AI bill of materials could be. Now, I said this is complementary to the work in India, because if we have a look at the Indian document, you'll start to see elements that are regarded as minimum for an AI bill of materials over there. So, Stefan, to answer your question, yes, there are things happening. OSI created a definition of what they believe is open source artificial intelligence. LFAI and Data created a model openness framework to judge which bits are open and how open is that. SPDX created a specific format to describe AI components. And of course, here we have India describing AI bomb as well, describing essentially what's the minimum elements of an AI bomb from the perspective of the authors of this document. And that, intellectually speaking, I guess, is similar to the concept of the American NIST minimal elements of a software bill of materials. So everything's kind of coming together. And in OpenChain, specifically what we've done, and this is different from defining AI, what is open. It's different from defining which parts are open. And it's different from creating a format for bill of materials. What we've done is build a process management guide saying what are the bits that you need in your organization. For example, you need a policy about open source, or you need a, my apologies, you need a policy about AI system bill of materials. Whether it's open source AI or something else, you need a policy. So you need a documented policy, and there are reasons that you need that. You need competence. So you need to have roles and responsibilities. These need to cover some important things. You can do that with documentation and assessment of competence. And here's why. So what we've done is create a process management guide so that if people decide to use the OSI definition, or they don't, if they're dealing with open source AI or they're not, if they are using the model openness framework or they don't, if they are using SPDX AI BOM or they don't, and if they are following the minimal elements for AI BOM in India or they're not, they will have the processes to manage that. Does that make sense? We're trying to tie it all together.
No, I think it does make sense. It's just different. It's coming all from different directions, and different matters. It's and they are dealing about.
Yeah.
And I also found an article about Open AI, no, yeah, Open AI, open source AI, and they were comparing different AI models like Llama and ChatGPT, and checking all the different, like from when it comes from training data
Mhm.
to code and like everything that's included in the whole AI model.
Yep.
And we're trying to find out if it's really like open source or if you at least know where the information is coming from, if you can use it. But I was just looking if I can find that article, but I couldn't. But I will let you know. I will send you the link when I found it because that was very interesting. They compared like very open AI systems and then very close ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I'll do, I'm going to just scroll down on the model openness framework. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in. How do I zoom in? Pretty simple. Okay. So, yeah, model openness framework allows you to look at different components and start to map AI models against them. You know, does it have these bits open or not? And I think that's conceptually similar to the article you mentioned.
Actually, I found it right now. It's from Andreas Liesenfeld. It's in English. I can put the link in the chat if you
Yes,
like.
please. Yes, please. That's fantastic.
And it's we can share this in the Creative Commons license, non-commercial, no derivatives.
I see. A provocative title.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. If you scroll down, they have like a big chart with colors and
Oh,
I
there
didn't
we
read it.
go.
Yeah, like this, and you see availability, documentation, access, and it's all different like open code, LLM data, LLM weights, everything that is like important when it comes to AI. And this is like they just compare these blooms. I don't know what that is. Actually, I haven't heard of that. And then Llama to chat. And if you scroll down a little bit further, you will see the big chart with
Oh,
all
wow.
different and so that's very interesting.
That is interesting. That is interesting. So it's covering the same question as model openness framework, which is how open is this thing? And it's coming at it from a slightly different angle, and it's doing it in the context of the EU AI Act. Very interesting. We must bring that to the next larger meeting of the call of the group when everyone's back from holiday.
Yeah, in Germany and in Bavaria, holiday starts in August, so I still have some time.
Yes. This is a side note, but I noticed we have Open Source Summit Europe in August this year, and I was joking with people, will anyone be there? So we have our big conference, but I'll tell you what, this is a fantastic resource to use for next discussion, and particularly to ask the question, how is their approach different from the model openness framework? And what can we learn from the differences? So I'm going to summarize then. The OSI created a definition of what they would define as open source AI, which is one way to look at it. It's very similar to the open source definition in the concept of saying these things are open source AI. Meanwhile, LFAI and Data created a way to describe or check if the code, data, and documentation is open in the frameworks and which bits are open. A similar activity has occurred in this paper, which is coming out of the European Union, which creates another way of looking at how open is this model.
Yeah,
And
it's more about open. It's not about open source. Like especially like when you see
yeah,
the last part access, like can you access it openly, or is it like do you have to
right.
have special like contracts with the
Absolutely.
company?
And that's a vital question. I think the model openness framework is similar because part of it is open source, like code, but the data is a different matter, certainly. And documentation can be very different as well. So yeah, no, this is very interesting. And then finally, just as an example, we have a bill of material format described by SPDX. And in India, we have minimal elements now defined. So it looks like we already have a lot of material to consider for the next version of the guide.
Yep.
There I was thinking we're about to have a summer call with nothing to do. And look what you've done. You've given us so much work. No, this is fantastic. And I'm going to take this information, I'll write it into an email along with the recording, and I'll make sure that we have it. It sounds like the focus of our conversation is next phase of guide development. And the simple note from this call is stuff like the Indian guide, stuff like this new analysis from Europe. We need to talk about that, and we should do that sooner rather than later. Well, I think that's it. Is there any other business you'd like to raise today?
No.
So one more addition to this is, you know, courts around the world are also giving guidelines,
Yeah,
and IP authorities like the USPTO and all those authorities also giving some guidelines on the usage of AI.
right.
So if we can see some metrics there which we can adopt,
Of
uh,
course.
that will also be helpful because that gives us a guidance on the usage across the globe. So
Absolutely.
that was one thing, and how commercial entities are defining open source in their definition.
Yeah.
So whether though some of them comply with the open source initiatives definition or the metrics, the Linux Foundation AI team
The
also.
model openness
Yeah,
framework and how do they judge themselves? Well,
yeah.
just for clarity, the model openness framework seems similar to what Stefan showed in that it doesn't say you have to be open. But it gives you a way to judge which bits are open, if that makes sense.
So
Mm.
from entities who are using open source AI,
Hmm.
and they claim it to be so, you know people, the users can judge whether they are actually open source and comply with those requirements. So I think this article I saw is from 2024. So I
Yeah,
think there will be many changes in some of the platforms,
of course.
with the newer version. So I think already there is a need for an update.
You're quite right. I mean, just a month ago or so, we had Minimax 1 come out of China.
Yeah,
And I think they said they'd open sourced every bit of it under MIT or was it BST, which is interesting. I wonder if that includes data. We'll have to check.
yeah.
That's a
So I
very
think
good
this,
point. I didn't see it was from 2004, 24. So there's been some changes to it, but I think it takes a lot of effort to put that article together. So,
Oh,
um,
goodness.
and yeah, and also like having this the different angles looking at the term open is important in my opinion because like it depends on how you're working with AI. So for some people, just making sure that the data, the training data is open and I know what they use to train is more important than having an open code. But for some other entities and companies, the code might be more important so they can use it in their environment, in their ecosystem.
It's a very good point. And that's where OpenChain has always, if I may say it, excelled. We've always said, let's be very practical in working out what the market challenge is. And, we can look at all these different approaches and try to describe how they can be useful for different people, depending on their use case and need. Yeah. Right. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm going to get on the idea of let's find out what else is going on in the world. And I'll also make sure to flag whatever document you look at, check when it came out because things are changing fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I'll give you back 28 minutes of your day. We've had a surprisingly productive call, given there's only a few of us, but it turns out there's tons of ideas and things to do. So I appreciate it, and I wish you a beautiful day.
Thank you, you too. And for the
Thank you,
record, it was
Shane.
3.
Okay, holiday time. Bye-bye.
Good day.
Have a great day.
Yeah, take care. Bye bye.